You say your family is made up of both South American and where?
And so half my family is French, the other half is Uruguayan.
Uruguayan.
That's right.
Uh-huh. And how do the French, your French relatives feel about the U.S. politics? Where do they live,
well,
first of all? Where do they live?
They're what? So most of my family in France lives in the south of France, in Avignon. That's where I was born. And there's kind of like a right-wing revolution going on in France because, you know, what we're experiencing in America is actually nothing compared to what they're experiencing in France with the rise of radical Islam and, you know, just out of control immigration and socialism, and these things are so bad in France that that now, like, people, like almost all my family in France used to be socialists, and just in the last few years they've all become nationalists because of just all the problems. You know, my grandmother was actually murdered by Muslim immigrants, and so that kind of shocked my family into realizing and waking up and realizing how bad the problem was. And
what faith was she?
I don't think she wasn't very religious, but I think most of my family comes from a Catholic background. So, but Catholics in France are just kind of like Catholic in name only. They're not like, you know, yeah, they might go to mass sometimes, but they're not like, you know, they're not super religious. You know what I mean? Like, they still like believe in abortion, and they still believe in a lot of left-wing principles, but they're just becoming more nationalists now because of everything.
What was the situation that she died in?
I don't want to
Was it a
describe it.
robbery?
It was like a robbery, and it was they pretty much murdered her, and it's like a gruesome, like, it was a gruesome, just, you know.
Did they do it because she was French or Christian?
I mean, I don't know. I think most likely they were like just heroin addicts, and they were, you know, they came from Algeria, I think. So they came from like a very poor background, and, you know, they were part of like the mass migration of radical Muslims in France. So yeah, and I'm not even sure if they themselves were Muslim, but they came from these countries where, you know, the standards, you know.
They must have been Muslim.
Yeah.
They must have been Muslim.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, not all the people who come from Muslim countries are necessarily Muslim, but things are so bad over there that if you grew up in one of those countries, even if you're not Muslim, like, you've been radicalized by it, you know. So I don't think it's the problem is necessarily just Islam, because a lot of them they had these issues. A lot of these countries had these issues, you know, before Islam even existed. You know, there was Wahhabism, and it's basically like desert culture. And so, you know, the standards are different, where, like, you know, there's a lot of rape and incest and bestiality and all pedophilia and all these things. They're just, they're a lot more quiet about these things, like, in those countries. And they're just kind of bringing their culture to America. But in Europe, it's so much worse. You know, over here, yeah, we might have some problems with, especially with like MS-13 and you know, Central American gangs. But over there, they have a problem with just really radicalized Wahhabis and Islamists. And yeah, if you think things are bad over here, like in Europe, especially in France, like they've been complaining about the immigration problem for way longer. Like, I think people are just waking up now. Like, even Democrats are waking up to the immigration problem. But in France, it's been an issue for as long as I can remember.
Yeah. Are Democrats waking up?
Yeah, I mean, you can see that because, like, just recently, like, you know, Biden started to kind of close the border, and now Kamala says she wants to finish building the wall, and she's not saying it in those words, but she has to say that because Democrats are, you know, pretty much, yeah, they're losing because even their voting base is tired of out of control immigration. Look what's happening in New York. Like, the mayor of New York, he's a Democrat, and he started complaining about the immigration issue over there, and now they're indicting him, and they're treating him the way they treated Trump. And it's the same people who basically targeted Trump who are targeting him now. So yeah, it's just if you start to tell the truth about these issues, But I think, yeah, a lot of people are waking up. That's why even Kamala is pretending to be, pro border and pretending to be, tougher on immigration than she really is. So, but we know she's not being honest. We know she's lying. We know she's not going to do anything about it. They're just saying that because they know that it's the biggest issue. Other than the economy, I think immigration is the biggest issue in this election. Yeah. So there's a lot of here in California we have this law that allows people to steal up to I think almost $1,000 without getting charged, and even Democrats see that that's something wrong. So I think we're seeing an awakening, and the Democrats are waking up too. They're just waking up a lot slower than everyone else, but they're starting to wake up too. Are we starting to march? I think we are soon though. All right. Well, we're going to march soon.
What's your impression of today?
Better than expected. I didn't think many people were going to come today. But you have people at basically every corner.
How about the reception of passers-by?
The majority is positive, as usual. Of course, there's going to be people that give us the finger. When I was over there, we got called racist. So,
Called you racist?
No, they called all of us racist.
Oh.
We were driving by and they yelled racist.
What do you think of that?
Oh, it's funny. Too bad they weren't walking by so I can ask them how are there's Cubans over there, people from Europe, me. How are we all racist? It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't seem to be a lot of truth telling on the side of the White House. The candidates, the Democrats, not a lot of truth telling.
I guess that's typical of them. They call Trump a liar.
They call Trump a fascist. They call him
that's just how they are.
Yeah, those things don't work anymore, though.
Yeah.
No one believes it. They've been doing it for years now, and actions speak louder than words, and they're the ones who are acting like the fascists. Not Trump. So.
Do you think no one believes it because you hear it being repeated by celebrities and things in the media?
Yeah, I mean, there are some people who believe it, but I think most people, even a lot of the people, like my mother's voting for Kamala, but even she doesn't believe a lot of the stuff they say. That she's like, that's just what they have to say to win. But she knows, and she's voting for Kamala, and even she knows that it's bullshit about the whole fascist and he loves Hitler and all these things. I mean, it's just a move of desperation. They're just desperate. Pulling that out at the last minute, it's a little ridiculous. I think most people get that that's bullshit.
And people, I want to point out, people call Trump a fascist against Democrat voters. They're stuck with Kamala.
Yeah.
They picked Biden. They didn't, in fact, Kamala dropped out. Yeah, that's who they have to go for. They didn't let the voters decide. They didn't have another primary or whatever. They could have done that. Look at them. That's who they have to vote for.
Yeah, they're holding their noses.
Yeah.
Come stand next to her.
Hi. How are you?
I'm Gianni.
Oh, nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Gianni.
Gianna. What's your ethnicity? Latino?
Black and white.
Black and white?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Everyone says that President Trump is a racist.
No, he loves all kind of people.
He loves all kinds of people.
Yeah.
We're like the people of color Trump.
Yeah.
Or Americans for Trump.
It's orange to me.
I say, man, I don't like being called a person of color. I just black or American or whatever.
Yeah, we all bleed red, white, and blue here.
Yeah.
That's right.
Can I wave your flag a little there? Is that your best Trump impression?
We're gonna make America great again.
Yeah.